Dr. Cordie, I see you shaking your head there in agreement. Would you like to give your reaction to what's happened over the weekend?
I agree with what Sergeant McGrew said, Miranda. I just echo those sentiments. I think it's really unfortunate that we're creating a society that is a anarchist type of society where authority isn't respected. Because I'm a 40-year-old man. I served in the Marine Corps for 4 years. I work on tons of veterans in my office. And to see just this degradation in our society, this lack of respect, where there's these, I always say heroes aren't found in, spandex with shoulder pads catching footballs or throwing a basketball in a hoop. Those heroes are found on street corners late at night. They're away from their family. They're putting it all on the line. Our firefighters, our police, our special forces, our Marines, our Army, our Navy, over, in these foreign countries, and Chicago and St. Louis and these other areas, Los Angeles, are becoming like these foreign countries. Those heroes are found dodging bullets, wearing bulletproof vests, and people are not appreciating the sacrifice that these guys are putting on the line, like Sergeant McGrew. And it's sickening. It's disgusting. And then you got people like Sleepy Creepy Uncle Joe that are coming out, right? And he doesn't even know his own name most of the time. And he's already talking about assault bans on weapons. And this was a handgun that was used. So it's really sick. It's despicable, in my opinion.
But he has condemned it. He has, and so has his running mate. But Sergeant, putting the president aside and, Joe Biden, what's the solution here? Because obviously we've seen an uptick of these protests turn violent. Officers feel like they have a target on their back. What's the solution here? Because the narrative is still out there that, these police officers are some of them are really bad and they're killing, blacks everywhere. What's the solution, though? Because the narrative's already out there, right? So how do we reach some common ground? How do we actually come up with some kind of reform, if you will?
Well, I think common ground, what you just said is very important. And right now people are being forced to pick a side. They feel like pick a side. And where the conversations happen is in that neutral place. It's in a place where law enforcement can reach out to their communities. When folks talk about defunding the police, that's a bad idea, because what's going to happen is the community-oriented policing programs and the school resource officer programs and those things that help us gain trust with the community, they'll be gone. We'll always have to answer the 911 calls, the emergency calls for service. And the less officers you have, the less opportunities you have to reach out to the community. And so I feel like, just coming together and talking and building that trust is really an important thing. There's some incidents that are out there, like you said, the narrative that's out there it's not true. I've worked for 31 years. I worked with people of courage and character that did amazing things. They showed restraint in places that even put themselves at more risk. And, people have to understand that when they see a video, that's not the whole story. There's much more to the story, and things that lead up to it, things that happen, things you can't see. And so I think people have to quit rushing to judgment when they see something and decide on the evidence. Just be patient and wait to see what happens. But in the meantime, reach out with the law enforcement. And I know each department wants to do this. They're open to talk to the community. So that's where I feel the solution is.
That needs to be done. We're running out of time, but Dr. Cordie, last minute to you to comment on this.
Well, I would just say, I agree with the sergeant again. I think education's a really important thing. My group, 1776 Forever Free, a lot of what we're doing on this Freedom Tour USA is educating people, trying to bring people from the left to understand that these police officers, they're not your enemy, right? You look at the stats out there, it's not a lot of, white on black crime. The stats are actually higher black on white as far as police officers and as far as statistics go. But this isn't about skin color. This is an election, and these are decisions about red, white, and blue. And do you want communism and anarchy, or do you want America to be what it's always been and what all of us believe? So I just think education is the big thing. We got to get the message out there. We got to start educating that our police have our back and they're not the bad guy.
Dr. Cordie, Sergeant McGrew, thank you both for joining us here on News On. Pleasure to have you. Please come
Thanks,
back.
Corinne.
And this time, I won't be surprised, Dr. Cordie. Thank you.
God bless.